Welcome back. The legal battle over the FBI's search of former President Trump's home could soon go all the way to the nation's highest court. Trump's lawyers asked the Supreme Court to overturn a ruling that stops the special master from reviewing those classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago. Let's bring in my guest tonight, Ayesha Whyte. She's an attorney, adjunct professor, legal analyst, up late with me tonight here on the Final Five. Good to see you tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, we originally had you on to talk about something totally different. We're going to get to that in a moment. But this news that broke late this afternoon really is a big deal, because we've talked so much about this raid at Mar-a-Lago, and the question is, does the Supreme Court get involved in this? I assume they would have standing to do so if so inclined.
They absolutely have standing to do so, but the court wants to be seen as non-political, right? And so if this was 4 years ago, I would say that the court would not get involved in this at all. But it's a different court, it's a different makeup. And honestly, this is what the Supreme Court is for. They are supposed to weigh in on these novel cases of constitutional law, executive privilege, and separation of powers. So I do believe that they are, in fact, going to get involved, but it's a political landmine.
Yeah, we know they have until, I believe, next Tuesday, the DOJ, to weigh in on this as well. We're going to watch this all play out here. But clearly, you mentioned about the Supreme Court, and people would like it to be it should be apolitical. People have a different perception depending on where you stand politically these days. There is a conservative majority. It looks like it would be Justice Thomas who would weigh in on something like this. And I think most legal observers would look at this and say might be inclined to side with the former president if all the legal boxes are checked.
That's true. I think Judge Thomas would side with Trump in this case. However, it's going to be difficult, right? Mm-hmm. He's already lost at the appellate level. So the Supreme Court will really be going out on a limb for Donald Trump, and he's kind of 50-50 with them right now. So it's hard to say which way they'll go.
So one of the reasons we wanted you to join us on the show tonight was because one of the other big stories over the last couple of weeks has been this idea that President Biden wants to forgive some $10,000 to $20,000 of student loan debt. There's a lot of people out there, maybe you included, watching who might be involved with that. There have been two lawsuits filed against this. One was one man from Indiana filing the suit saying he doesn't want to be part of this. The Department of Education put a filing out saying, cool, we're going to opt you out because it's an optional thing. You have to file for it in the first place. But there are 6 Republican attorneys general who have joined together to file a suit against this. Is this going to, do you believe, hold back this forgiveness program? Could this be put on pause because of these legal challenges?
It could be put on pause, right? Like, what happens when someone files for a preliminary injunction is that it can halt everything. However, the 6 attorney general, they have a huge hurdle. In order to get a preliminary injunction, you have to prove irreparable harm. And right now, we're just talking about dollars and cents and loan programs. They're not individualized people, and they will not suffer irreparable harm. So it's difficult. They're going to have a hurdle, right? They could probably go all the way to litigation, but a preliminary injunction is a very, very different thing, and it has a much higher burden.
So again, the two different cases here, and we mentioned that one from Indiana, which was filed by a conservative legal organization who joined with this student who had, I believe, $20,000 because it was a Pell Grant. You know, I think there were people who saw this, who saw the idea that there would be student loan forgiveness. They might be spending that money already. They might be saying, hey, I know I'm going to get $10,000. I'm not going to have to pay the $10,000 in debt. I'm going to put it out somewhere. I know you're not a legal analyst, but if somebody's out there thinking that they're going to be forgiven that money very soon, what would be your advice to them?
Keep it in the bank. This could be a long, drawn-out process. If the 6 attorneys general do, in fact, get a court for this preliminary injunction, this could be years in the making.
We're going to watch how that all plays out, too. And I think when we have, back to the attorneys general, that separate suit there where you do have 6 states, and it seems to be that you have a lot of these Republican attorneys general, and to be fair, on the Democratic side as well, they tend to join en bloc where they'll come together on a suit and hope to find that court and hope to get involved here. I guess on the state level, this is what the attorneys generals are there to do, whether or not they have the legal standing to do so, whether or not it's going to pass the legal muster. They kind of go through these laws and figure out how they would help or harm people in their individual states.
That's absolutely true. And in these particular 6 states, these 6 states have 2.8 million borrowers that would be eligible for this loan program. So with that alone, they're saying that these 2.8 million borrowers may suffer some type of irreparable harm. Now, these 2.8 million borrowers haven't asked them to bring that suit, and there's no reason that they should believe that. They also, those 6 attorney generals, are saying that they have student loan programs that are private programs that would have an irreparable harm based on financial conditions, that these loan borrowers would no longer be getting revenue because people will not take out private loans. They would only be seeking to get federal loans that could be forgiven at some point. But yes, the attorneys general of a state is supposed to look out for all citizens of their state.
And, you know, it seems appropriate we talk about that because we had a change in the guard when it comes to Attorney General in Virginia. We have an open seat for Attorney General in Maryland and D.C. So, I mean, it's funny because those are positions that not many average voters always think of, but there are long-reaching implications that attorneys generals across the country can get involved in. So it's important to keep tabs on those races.
It is absolutely important. And as a person who used to be an assistant attorney general in the District of Columbia, I know how important it is to have an attorney general that really understands not only their citizens, but what the tone of the law is at the time, right? So I definitely understand the hard job of an attorney general, and I hope that everyone goes out to vote so their voice is heard in all these races, because the attorney general race is so important.
We bring it full circle with that. Ayesha Whyte is a D.C. attorney with Dixon White, LLC. Thanks for joining us tonight. Great to see you.
Thank you.
And the Final Five is back right after this.